Module 4, Motion and Terms of Movement. In the next module, you'll be learning about the muscular system. The muscles provide the means for your skeleton to move. Well, to discuss motion, I'm going to first introduce a few terms. Anatomical position is the position acquired when one stands erect with the feet facing forward, the upper limbs hanging at the sides, and the palms facing forward with the thumbs to the outside. It's the position of all the diagrams that were used when I introduced the systems of the human body back in Module 1. This is a good point of reference, and from this reference point, I can now use terms for direction so you will better know what I'm talking about when I refer to positions of the body. You already learned that superior refers to above and inferior refers to below. These terms only refer to the head, neck, and trunk areas. When I'm talking about limbs, I will use proximal, which means nearest to the attachment to the trunk, and distal, which means more distant from the attachment to the trunk. In the anatomical position, we can say that the head is superior to your neck. The waist is inferior to the chest. The elbow is proximal to the radius and ulna, but the hand is distal to them. Finally, anterior refers to front, and posterior refers to back. Can you see why these terms are helpful? You can better describe the locations of the parts of the body. There are specific positions of the body, too. The midline is an imaginary line running down the center of the body, dividing it into right and left sides. When you cut out a paper doll, you make the fold down the midline of the body so that both the right and left sides are evenly shaped. Now imagine a plane running down the midline of the body. This plane is called the mid-sagittal plane, again, dividing the body into right and left halves. If a body part is located away from this plane, it is referred to as being lateral. If the body part is located closer to the mid-sagittal plane, it is medial. Now we can talk about terms of movement, or how joints move. Though a joint allows movement, the body part is the thing that is moving. Extension can be seen here. It means to straighten a body part. You can extend your upper and lower limbs, your hands, fingers, toes, head, and back. All body parts are extended in the anatomical position. Flexion is the opposite of extension. Flexion decreases the angle between the bones of the joint. So when you bend your arm to show how strong you are, your arm is in flexion. You can flex your fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders, vertebral column, thighs, legs, and toes. Ankles have special movement terms. When you point your toes like a ballet dancer, you are performing plantar flexion. When you move your toes up toward your knees, you are performing dorsiflexion. Abduction is when your body parts move away from the midline. So spreading your fingers apart like this is abduction. Adduction is when fingers or limbs are moved toward the midline. You can remember this word by thinking the fingers are adding or moving together. Turning your foot inward towards the instep is called inversion of the foot. Turning your foot outward is eversion of the foot. The foot is the only body part that performs inversion and eversion. Circumduction can be easy to remember if you think of the circumference of a circle. That is the distance all the way around the circle. Well, circumduction is when your ball and socket joints move in a circular motion. You can do this with your arm, but though the hip joint is a ball and socket joint, it is set too deeply to perform complete circumduction. Rotation is when a bone is turned on its axis, and there are two types. As you can see in this children's illustration, if the rotation is toward the midline, like this gentleman's arm, it is medial rotation, or rotation in the medial direction. If it is away from the midline, it is lateral rotation, or rotation away from or to the side of the medial direction. Shoulder and hip joints allow for this type of rotation. Finally, the last two movement terms refer to the forearm only. If you rotate your forearm so that the palm faces anteriorly or forward, then that is supination of the forearm. If you rotate the forearm so that the palm faces posteriorly, you have performed pronation of the forearm. Pronation, posterior. In the anatomical position, the hands face anteriorly, so the forearms are supinated.